Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hyperconscious Podcast. Alan, what is hyperconscious?
Once you understand why something is the way that it is, now you have the power to change it. Great conversations with great people and great questions are the keys to the kingdom of unlocking your consciousness.
Every single action that you do starts as a thought. When you control the way you think, you will control the way you act, and you will control the way you live. That is hyperconscious. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hyperconscious Podcast is proudly sponsored by our friend and mentor, David Meltzer of the Playbook Podcast. He was kind enough to join us on episode 144 and 135.
Folks, it has become Kevin and I's mission in life to help you realize that the life of your dreams is right on the other side of you becoming the greatest version of yourself. Let us help you do that.
I rarely do these things twice in such a short amount of time, but you guys impress me. I believe in people that provide value and of our service. You two guys are on your way to huge fulfillment, purpose, and profitability, and I look forward to helping you both.
We appreciate that more than you know. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our latest 5-minute clinic where Alan and I sat down and talked all about practice. Today, for episode number 211, we are going to do a small talks episode on the word state. And we're not talking about geoglyphly.
Geoglyphly. Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been
Throwback on that. Okay, so before we jump into this episode, I want you to go to the hyperconsciouspodcast.com, click on join, hashtag hyperconsciousnation. I will be going live in there later tonight. I am excited for that, to talk about some experiences we had at Your World Within Live this past weekend in Hollywood Beach, Florida.
Also, if you are listening or watching and you come across something that motivates you, inspires you, or helps break something loose, please do not hesitate to share it on the gram, tag Alan and myself, because again, we are trying to make the entire world as hyperconscious as humanly possible.
Yes.
That's that.
Okay, so now I'm going to define the word state. So first, Kevin basically said the topic he wanted was controlling your state.
Yes.
And we'll get into the context of why he chose that topic. But
yes.
to define state, there's actually, Kev, there's
12 definitions.
Believe it or not, there's 18.
18, all right.
18 definitions.
Well,
okay.
You know which one it is.
I know which one is most relevant to this episode.
Perfect.
Okay. A particular condition of mind or feeling. The next one, an abnormally tense, nervous, or perturbed condition.
Perturbed.
Been there.
Yeah.
Politically, no. Territory, no.
Geographically.
No. These are all government, political.
For the birds.
Right. Makes sense. State as in like government.
Right.
Okay. The condition of matter with respect to structure, form, constitution, phase, or the like. No. Status, rank, or position in life. The style of living befitting a person of wealth and or high rank. No. Okay. So here's the two definitions that are relevant out of the 18. We apologize. Number 1, a particular condition of mind or feeling. Or number 2, an abnormally tense, nervous, or perturbed condition.
Perturbed. So if you will hear Alan or myself reference ourselves, that's not really qualify, classify.
So far, so good.
If you hear Alan or I classify ourselves as being in an unresourceful state, all that really means is we're not in a good place. We're overwhelmed. Our human needs, our basic human needs aren't being met, basically. Maybe we're overtired. Maybe we're overworked. Maybe we're over a lot of things or under a lot of things. So that is what it means when we say we're in an unresourceful state. That is what the state that we're talking about is.
And so to provide context, when you're in what we refer to as an unresourceful state, it basically means that your ability to perform and handle challenges is far less.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So first question for Kevin.
Yes, that's me.
Excuse me, I had to burp.
That's okay.
People have heard me talk a lot about Tony Robbins' state, story, strategy framework.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Tony believes that state is actually the most important, and I've come to agree. Question for Kevin. For you, how do you manage your state even when things around you get crazy and when you're way outside your comfort zone?
So the reason we are doing this episode, the reason this is something that I thought would resonate highly with me and Alan, because this weekend, it was basically a 4-day weekend, even though it wasn't like a vacation. We landed in Florida at like 10 in the morning on Thursday. We ate. We went straight to the gym.
Yep.
Then we went to the Airbnb. We took a nap. Again, we were both running on 2 or 3 hours of sleep.
Yep.
I went and picked Taryn up at the airport Thursday night. We got back home. You guys talked for a while. Like,
Yes.
you guys had a really good conversation. So we were up until like midnight or 1
About relationships.
And basically, there was the first time that Taryn and I had traveled like that together. I mean, we've gone to New Hampshire, we've gone to the Cape, we've done some other things, but I was very overwhelmed the whole trip, and
It was a lot.
it was a lot. And there's Savage Kevin, who stays up all night doing whatever work it takes and also goes to the gym no matter what, no matter how much sleep he's on, no matter, how long of a drive it is, whatever. There's no excuses. It's just results is what we're looking for. And then there's loving, warm Kevin, who is supportive and who is cuddly and hugging and trying to be cute and dancing and all that stuff. So
And funny.
and funny. And it was just a balance of when your state, like normally when I'm traveling, I'm overwhelmed. I'm usually in an unresourceful state,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter because you understand that I'm going to be probably not a dick, but like I'm just in an unresourceful state, so I'm not going to be super happy. I'm not super jolly. I'm just doing what I know has to get done.
Exactly.
And when your girlfriend's there, you don't want to project that onto her. She's down there to support me. She's not down there to be my. I was going to say punching bag, but I don't want to say that. That's not. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you're saying.
She's not down there to feel the repercussions of me being overwhelmed.
She wants to enjoy herself.
She wants to enjoy herself, see what I do, support me,
Right.
be an awesome girlfriend, which she was. And that's why it's so important to control your state, because number one, I don't want her to think I don't appreciate her being down there, because I was so appreciative. It was amazing. It was amazing. Number two, I want her to realize that this is sustainable. And it's not always going to be this way, right? This was just the hardest weekend I've ever had in my entire life. When I got home, I told Matt that, like, it's amazing getting off stage and having people walk up to you and like say, "Oh my God, that was amazing. Can you stay and talk with me instead of going to lunch?" Like, that's awesome. That's my dream come true. But it's also like, then everybody wants to like, "Oh, let's go to lunch. Let's go to this." And it's like,
Let's take a picture.
Yeah, it's just there's so much going on that sometimes it's hard to manage your state. And I was like super dehydrated. I was hungry.
Yeah, man, tired.
I didn't drink an ounce of water the whole time we were there, basically.
Right.
So I guess
Running on caffeine.
Yeah, running on caffeine in dreams. But the reason I wanted to talk about this was because I really had to get very familiar with, on a minute-to-minute basis, like, where is my state right now? Am I unresourceful? Most of the time I was. Am I projecting that onto the people around me? Yes, I did. I'll talk about that too. How are me and Taryn doing? Like, I know she's tired. She's been up all day too. And this is an overwhelming experience for anybody. So I was really trying to measure my state and make sure that I wasn't taking out things on other people that were my own fault or my own problem or my own insecurities or my own overwhelm, basically.
So I think we've all been there before, where we were in a bad place physically or mentally. Like, if you've ever woken up hungover, that's a very unresourceful state. Imagine getting, what'd you get, 3 hours of sleep?
Yeah, something like that.
And then jumping on a plane, which is a fear of yours.
Yeah.
And then basically being in a situation. This is the thing that I found most fascinating. So you had clients down there. You had the Your World Within Live team. We had a schedule that we needed to keep because we were doing a dry run that night. Mm-hmm. You had to pick up people to and from the airport. You had to have conversations with me. So there's a version of Kevin, there's a version of all of us that we allow to shine in every different circumstance. But what happens when you have a client, a girlfriend, and your business partner all in the same car, and you have basically more to accomplish than you've ever had to accomplish, with shifting priorities in real time, and everyone has a different expectation of who you're going to be for them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where you were at.
I didn't know what hat to wear.
Right.
Like, Savage Kevin would have turned on the music and drove and done whatever.
Right.
Loving, I gotta sneeze. Nope. Loving boyfriend Kevin would have turned on a different kind of music and listened better. And then, like, Coach Kevin would have done probably no music and just deep talks. But it's like
Right.
there's so many different things going on, and it's a lot. But I want to level up to that.
Right.
I want to level up to that. So that's a goal of mine. So that's the way I do it usually, and I said this before, is usually I can really get in my head really quickly and make minute-to-minute shifts. Like, what you're about to say is not right for this time.
Yeah.
And I literally was so overwhelmed that I've never trained. You revert to your training. I've never trained at that level before. I've
Right.
never been that overwhelmed while balancing clients, girlfriend, event, business partner, friend,
Right.
gym, schedule, all of that.
Yep.
All of that. So it was just a
Plus,
lot.
we had to mastermind with Catherine
Yeah.
about the next. Not to mention your second time on stage ever,
Right.
which is already in and of its. Think about that. Even just that, the second time ever on stage. This is the biggest audience we've ever been in front of.
Yeah.
And just that alone is overwhelming to most people. Now add clients, friend, business partner, girlfriend, schedule, masterminds, and dry run.
Yeah.
I can totally understand why
On
it
the
was so
last
much.
day, Amy and I went outside. Shout out to OG Amy. We went outside to just get some fresh air because it had been a long weekend. Her and I didn't really get any one-on-one time that much. And I said, like, you know how I'm sure like last night everybody was saying how tired and overwhelmed they were? I said, I think people forget that, like, I'm naturally probably more tired and overwhelmed than you guys just because this is so overwhelming to me. But also, I hate planes. I was on stage,
Right.
by the way. Like, I was one of the people up there. I picked people up and dropped people off in the airport, and I'm also afraid of the flight home.
Right.
The whole time.
Yeah.
The whole time I'm down there, I'm thinking of getting home.
And you have me trying to mix things up last minute.
Yeah. So, and like we spent the entire dinner talking to Evan Carmichael about our YouTube channel.
And he ripped us
He
a
ripped
new
us
one.
a new butthole.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, the thing is, people do see the polished product. They see you and I on stage, and we did a really good job. Catherine did a really good job. It was a great event.
Oh, it
but
was
what
great.
they don't see is, like, that's hard for me. That's not easy. It's not easy for me. Maybe it looks easy, and I hope it looks easy, because if
Yeah.
it looks easy, that means I'm doing a good job. But it's not easy.
Yeah.
None of that was easy for me. That was the hardest weekend I've ever had in my entire life, naturally. Like,
And the best.
yeah,
One of
and
the best.
But by
Yeah.
default, it was the most difficult thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
And then you add in, I met 3 of my clients that I've never met in person before.
Yeah.
And that was the first
All
time.
on the same day.
All on the same day.
Yep.
That's the first time I've ever traveled on a plane with Taryn,
Yep.
like that far away, so it was just a lot. But I do want to give a huge shout out to Taryn because she literally made a group chat with everybody.
Right.
What is it called? We have no idea what's going on.
Nobody knows anything.
Nobody knows
Something
anything.
like that. Yeah.
And she took lead on that and set up an amazing dinner at this ridiculously nice
That
restaurant.
was so nice.
And that was when I was probably going into that restaurant. I was so overwhelmed. Like, that was one of the lowest points of the weekend for me. We had just left the dry run. I was super overwhelmed. I hadn't slept.
Yeah.
And I had to shift my state when I got in that room. I think I did a good job there.
A good
job there.
You did.
But after the event, so everybody wanted to go swimming. They wanted to go to the beach. And I was, like, so set on going to the gym. I just needed to get away.
Yeah.
From
the gym
people.
is therapy. It's
I needed
so-
to get to the gym,
Yep.
and I wasn't the best version of Kevin for sure. I apologized to everybody individually, but I didn't have patience. I didn't want to hear it. I just, let me do my thing. I need to do me right now, and that's not a side that people usually see of me, and I apologize to everybody for that, but I appreciate everybody understanding. It's just a level of pressure that I've never felt, and this is what happens when you get under a new level of pressure. You figure out what cracks, and you figure out how to fix it.
Yeah.
So moving forward, I will fix it.
There was one moment where we just got to Emily and Tom's little area there outside Margaritaville. Evan Carmichael had just left, basically, and you want to talk about overwhelm. He basically, and this is the best part, like, he went through our YouTube analytics and told us all the things we're doing wrong.
Yeah.
And if you're going to learn YouTube from anyone, Evan Carmichael's your guy. So it was unbelievably, we're so grateful for that. It's awesome. We're gonna definitely make some really necessary changes to really help more people. But right after that, it was like really difficult to collaborate because the gym closed at 11. It's like 9:30.
Yeah.
We have to go back to the Airbnb and change
20
to try
minutes.
to get to the gym. And everybody wants to hang out naturally because they all want to spend time with us. And there was one moment where I'm like, talking to you, and I could tell he's in the most unresourceful state ever, and I'm just like, okay, Alan, don't push any buttons. Let's just go to the gym. Like, let's just get in the car and let's go to the gym. We ended up pulling a few audibles, and it all ended up working out. But I honestly think you handled it very well.
I appreciate that. I have a high standard of the way I treat other people, and you know me, it's like I always want people to leave their time, like leave after they meet me, having a higher respect and a higher just thinking I'm better than they thought I would be. Basically, I don't ever want to let anybody down. That's my thing. I don't ever want to meet somebody and them leave and be like, he was kind of a dick in person, and that's always on my mind at all given time. But I was so I can't even describe. I don't know how to even put it in words how overwhelmed I was.
It was a lot.
It was the hardest weekend of my entire life, but it was also the most amazing weekend of my entire life. So
I like that those two go hand in hand.
They do. You just have to know where to look.
Right.
You have to know where to look.
All right, so next question, here we go.
My goodness.
So it was your idea to do this episode on state.
Yes.
My question for you is simple. Why now? And what do you hope the listeners take away from this episode that you believe will help them the most?
One of my goals is to master emotional intelligence and being not only with other people but myself. I want to be able to control my emotional well-being and my temper. That's something I'm really good at. I'm very patient, more patient than I've ever been. And in this was kind of the time where I felt out of control, and I haven't felt out of control emotionally in a long time. And it just made me realize that if you're struggling on the day-to-day to control your emotional state, I literally am reframe. Like, how am I feeling? Oh, I feel a little bit overwhelmed. What I'm about to say a reflection of my overwhelm? Or is it a reflection of who I am as a person?
Character versus overwhelm.
Exactly. Yeah. I usually fall back on character. This weekend I fell back on overwhelm, and I think that's the first time it's happened consistently, because it happened more than once. It wasn't just like one time.
Yeah.
It just I literally couldn't do it.
Dude, I sensed it so much, especially when we were in the truck. You had a client, a friend, and business partner, and then your girlfriend all in the truck at the same time, and we had more to get done and not enough time.
Yeah, it was just
a lot.
It was a lot. And it's like I'm the guy who does the schedule.
Usually, yeah.
And everybody else wants to do other things, which is, of course you do. You're in Florida. Like, of course you want to have fun.
Right.
And here I am like, no, we need pain. We just have to do what has to get done.
Right. We know pain.
So I do appreciate, I appreciate Taryn so much. I appreciate everybody that was unbelievably flexible and unbelievably supportive. And
that was awesome.
It was. It was
awesome
a dream come true. It was a dream come true.
It really was.
That's the takeaway. I want you, like, if you're listening, this was a dream come true. This is part of Growing Pains. This is all this is.
Yeah.
I will figure this out. I always do. But in order to figure something out, you have to know first that you don't have it figured out.
For the listeners,
yes.
How do you believe you handled this weekend from 0 to 10?
Okay.
And in hindsight, what would you do differently if you could go back?
In regards to state, 0 to 10?
In regards to basically what part of your character do you wish you held more true to? I guess, what would you do differently if you could go back to try to mitigate some of these overwhelming things?
You spoke about this recently, and you said sometimes it's hard to get a result while also not hurting feelings.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this was the first time I ever experienced that, because when you're sitting down at dinner with Evan Carmichael and he says, pull out your laptop, let's go over your YouTube analytics, you have to do it.
You have to do it.
And
regardless of anyone else's feelings.
Yeah, it's like, I don't care about dinner.
Right.
I don't care about dinner anymore. I have to care about this.
This is macro.
So for me, that was kind of the first time I ever experienced that, really. So I think when it came to getting results, 10 out of 10.
Right.
10 out of 10 on the results.
Okay.
When it came to the relationship
Makes
part.
sense. Yeah. They're sometimes conflicting. That's what I want people to realize. Like, please listen to what Kevin's going to say here, because when you're very results driven for a macro goal, in other words, Evan Carmichael trying to teach us YouTube is a must. You do not get coached by Evan Carmichael on YouTube for out of nowhere. That's like a very expensive thing that right now we cannot afford.
Yeah.
So this is a must, okay? Now, when you have a must for a result, guess what falls to the wayside? Other people's priorities and relationships. I can't even tell you how many times I've been in this position Kevin's about to describe. Please understand that there will be times in your life where you must prioritize a result above the feelings of others, and it's what you do about it and how you handle it that will make the difference.
I'm going to use an analogy, and it's not this cut and dry, and I don't want to make it seem like it's life or death, but if you're in a fire and somebody's dragging you out, I don't care if it hurts you when I'm dragging you out. I'm trying to save your life. It doesn't matter if it hurts. It's my job. I'm trying to save your life. Like, result over feeling. My job is to keep you alive. If you get a few bumps and bruises, that's part of it.
Right.
Like, that's acceptable. And in this, it was like, yeah, it's not life or death, but like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that I am sitting next to Evan Carmichael, and he says, pull out your laptop, let's go over your YouTube analytics.
Where else could you do that?
Never.
Yeah, right.
Never.
Yeah.
And again, that's why I have to commend the people, like, understanding this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, there's a photo of us just,
Yeah.
4 of them. Phil, me, you, Alex, Evan.
That's it. Yeah.
And I think that's it. But
Yeah.
we're all hovered over this laptop in the middle of dinner where Evan is going through our YouTube analytics and teaching us so many cheat codes that we would never know because he's been in the industry for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so anyone who wanted to go to the beach or hang out with us after that, they had to understand that we're not here for dinner anymore.
Yeah, it's hard. It's very hard, but I think so I'll say I think I did it when it comes to results. I think I did 10 out of 10. I couldn't have asked for any more. That was so much more than I expected. When it comes to interpersonal relationships, I would say 6.
Okay. Perfect. Those are sometimes if results was a 10, it makes sense that the other one is slacking.
Yeah.
What would you do differently to handle it with more grace? Dude, I can't even tell you how many times I've been in that position.
Yeah, no, trust me, I admire it because it's something I'm not used to. I think that one thing I could have done far better at is explain to others where I was. I think I wanted to shoulder the load. I wanted to be able to handle it all. And I know, like, I'm sure if I said, I'm very overwhelmed right now, can you guys give me a minute? Or I'm very overwhelmed right now, like, I can't talk about this.
Communicate rather than pretend you're fine.
Right. Because everybody knows you're not fine. They just think you're being a dick.
Right.
Where if you're vulnerable and you explain exactly what's going on,
Right.
they're going to be more empathetic rather than reactive.
That's so true.
And that was my fault.
They're going to take it as he needs help rather than an attack.
Yeah, it's either way, it's a cry for help, right?
Right.
No matter what.
Either way, it's a cry for help. One of them might actually get help.
Right. And one of them is going to get a result, like a reaction.
It's a breakthrough for me.
That was a breakthrough for me too, because I didn't tell Taryn I was overwhelmed. Really, I tried to show it. The problem was I was showing it by being, very short-tempered,
Snippy, yeah.
and snippy. I guess that's a good word. Where I could have said, "Hey, babe, like, I'm so overwhelmed right now. Can you just support me?" And she would have. I know she would have. She always does.
Right.
I just didn't do a good job.
She did anyway, man.
She did. I know she did.
It was so impressive.
I
I
know.
was so surprised that, and again, I don't think you did anything wrong. Trust
No,
me,
no,
I've been
I
here a
know,
million
I know.
times.
I appreciate
but
it.
there's certain things that you'd say that you normally wouldn't.
Right.
And I'm like, oh well, there's reverting to your training.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we'll take one quarter out of the piggy bank there.
I'm unbelievably grateful that she, number one, got to see behind the scenes a little bit of like what I'm like when I'm not the version that she sees. Like, she sees me work, but she's never seen me like that. I've never been there, so of course she couldn't see me. I've never seen myself that way either.
Yeah.
But I'm so grateful for the support, and we talked when we got home. I'm gonna call her on the way home tonight because she wanted to talk about my takeaways from the event, because she has her takeaways, I have mine, and now that they've settled a little bit, I'm sure we'll have different ones.
Sounds good. Speaking of settling a little bit,
Go
that's
on.
what we're doing, scratching the surface on, shaking the snow globe.
Oh, wow, strong work.
Right.
What a segue.
Getting
Who's the host
snow
here?
globe shaken.
Wow.
And basically, that's what we talk about. Events like this, weekends like this, growing pains like this, shake the snow globe. They make you question yourself, your actions, your thoughts, your feelings, and what lands will be a bigger, better you.
I was telling the people that came down from Hyperconscious Nation, huge shout out to them, by the way.
Seriously.
For flying in and driving in. What
Devazio got
Yeah.
in an accident, and he still made it.
And just kept driving.
Savage.
Savages. But I told all of them, like, just prepare yourself. This is going to shake the snow globe. When you get home, give it a couple days. You'll see what lands. Nothing is set in stone here.
Right.
Just make sure you figure out how you feel in a couple days, see what lands, see what doesn't, and that's exactly what the next episode is going to be on. You got anything else? We're way over, but this was it's Florida wrap up. Like, it is what it is.
I just want to tell everyone how grateful I am that you're on this journey with us. And this weekend was a huge, huge dream come true. And my biggest takeaway, I just want to give it to everybody here. I could never have there's a lot about this weekend that I did anticipate, that I did calculate, that I did work hard for specifically. But there's so much that I could never have anticipated. And that's the level of, I felt so incredibly valued, and I've realized that I've really impacted a lot of people's lives, and they've impacted my life so much. And I just want to double and triple down on all of the hard work and sacrifices, because you'll have moments in your life where all the hard work, you have this overwhelming moment of gratitude. And everything you've done up to that moment that was challenging becomes worth it in an instant. Not only worth it, but more than worth it, where you do it again over and over and over again for that moment, that overwhelming moment where you're just so incredibly grateful. That's what this weekend was for me. And every time I have one of those, big or small, I always say, that's why you do what you do. Keep doing it. And none of this would be possible without all of you.
Yeah, I second what Alan said. So on the way to the airport, when we were flying home, Taryn said, what was your favorite part? And I loved sharing the stage with amazing speakers. I loved sitting down and having dinner with Evan Carmichael. I loved all of that. I loved meeting people, but it was amazing seeing members of Hyperconscious Nation connect. Like, we're in a group chat now. They're all going to be masterminding. That's what this is all about for myself and for Alan, is like, we want to help you guys change your lives. Not just by listening to this podcast, not just by building positive habits, but connecting to like-minded people.
Right.
Because that's sometimes the hardest part.
Seeing them connect might have been the coolest thing
It was amazing.
ever.
It was amazing.
When we were at that dinner, it was the most hyper-conscious room ever.
Yeah. It was
Okay?
amazing.
And they were all loving the conversations they were having with each other. For me, that was the best part.
Yeah.
Seeing them connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
It was a dream come true, and I can't wait for the next event like this where we can have more members of Hyperconscious Nation. I feel very in alignment. I feel very good. I feel very full. I'm very fulfilled. And ladies and gentlemen, we are just getting started.
We want to do more of those events, and we hope to see you at the next one. 5-Minute Clinic, I will be sharing another really nostalgic story, that overwhelming moment of gratitude. I just wanted to tease that here because I had one of the greatest moments of my life this weekend that I want to share on that episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this as much as we enjoyed recording it and as much as we enjoyed reflecting on what was truly, truly, truly an incredible 4-day weekend of just dreams coming true. And as Alan mentioned, up next on Scratching the Surface, we're going to talk about what happens when you get your snow globe shook and finding out what lands.
Shook.
Shook.
I like it.
All right.
10-second blip from Kevin.
Yeah. Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Your state is often a reflection of how you are feeling in the moment, and if you do not control it, a short-term failure can lead to long-term failure.
Okay.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, kind of.
Cool.
Strong word.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed. We will talk to you on Friday.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.